going back to In the White, talking about what these instruments are made of is the wood. Now, a Scala Perfetta comes from Germany with European wood, and I like to know the age of the wood on those. People would also like to know, and then we go to Linea Machi, talk about the type of wood, like the age of the wood per se, and then if you could also show the difference between the age group of something that is, I guess you've used the word seasoned wood, and then a wood that is, I guess you would, the one you just showed right now. So before the varnish goes on them, let's talk about the age of the wood and what's available for the Linea Machi and the Scala Perfetta and the Master Cello. Do you have an example of the different seasoning of wood?
Generally speaking, there's no sense of using fresh wood, okay?
You guys probably know, and you share amongst each other, what is fresh wood, what is seasoned wood. So what does this mean in the context of someone who doesn't know anything about this?
When you cut a tree, usually you cut it in wintertime when the tree doesn't soak water up and is pulling up the water. A tree in spring is drinking a lot in order that he can grow, okay? In wintertime, this process is a little bit cooled down, so that's why they cut the tree in wintertime, and then still the wood is like in winter up in the mountain is cold, it's like ice completely, okay? So when you cut your tree, you would be surprised how much of the weight of a fresh grown, fresh cut tree, how heavy it is. And if you get it brought from the mountains down to Cremona, the truck is even losing water behind because there's so much water getting out, okay? Once it is here in Cremona, then you have to be very cautious in order that there's a regularly wind blowing, otherwise it gets some moisture inside, which is not very nice to look at. Then the wood becomes like blue and black and stuff like this, and you don't like that. And then you keep it like this for years. And you always have to turn it. It doesn't have to be too quick, otherwise it's cracking. We don't put anything in any oven, and that's why we actually, in order to be sure that the wood has never been treated and went through some shock therapies, we prefer to go directly ourselves up into the mountain, get the entire trees, cut it with the chainsaw in the right lengths, split it with some like chisels, and then you hammer that into the round piece of spruce, and then you turn it, and then you would be surprised how easy it is to split these towards the length. Right now the wood I'm using is approximately, I would say, I came in here in 2004, so it's a 17 year season is the freshest wood I have, okay? Certainly it also happens to me that I can find some wood which is well seasoned, and for well seasoned I mean much more than I am actually making a violin maker. If you look on the back side, you can see here this dark up like this one here is much darker than the other one.
Yes, I do.
And I think there are like these additional 30 years which make it that the wood inside gets so dark. This is like 30-40 years more than the other one. This is a long process that the wood gets this antique dark looking inside.
Would you be so kind as to bring it a little bit closer so we can see the difference between, and what are these type of cellos, what are these going to be for? I see two different colors, so obviously one wood is more rare than the other one, I guess, or older. And what sort of instruments will these cellos be made into?
This one here is a well seasoned. I don't believe that you see it so well here. Huh? Believe me that this well seasoned one, I make my master cellos exclusively, and it would be a pity to use it for a Scala Perfetta or a Linea Macchi. I just think this is not worth it. It takes so many years to have something so old. The top of your 7/8 Ruggeri was also very, very well seasoned, and I think it's a pity to use so well seasoned wood for actually a very economic instrument. While a master instrument, you can feel the difference, and it makes sense to use such precious wood.
Do you cut the trees yourself?
In 2004, I cut myself, and it was like 2 weeks of working in the winter because you
went up in the tree. You went up to the forest and you cut them yourself.
Yes. And then I even owned a chainsaw, and I bought it the chainsaw because up there they were changing from these huge ones to smaller ones. A Stihl chainsaw. It was just.
Is it a special violin cutting chainsaw?
It's for us. It's a nice. I think every violin maker has to do it sooner or later once.
You have to stop right there. This is where I'm talking about that special sauce, the X factor. He Edgar's so humble, but the reality is he can get in one of his many Vespas and ride up to the mountains and cut the same trees that Stradivari used. Not everyone can do that in the world, and you can make a brilliant instrument from South Korea or Japan or Canada, but still, they don't have the opportunity to drive to the exact same forests that the masters use, cut the tree and bring it down. There has to be something special about that experience. At least knowing the people that today, you probably know the people that do it, and you can select the wood before it leaves Italy. You can select the best of the best before it gets shipped out and exported.
For me, it's obvious. I can just go there. Why should I go to somewhere else? But I think competitors are not sleeping, and I'm sure some other people also go there and get it. But there are actually few people who are willing to pay that more for the Italian spruce, let's say from the Val di Fiemme, or the real maple from Bosnia. So it's always depending on individual makers out there, but most of them actually just take whatever they get, and they work with that. Yeah.